There are good movies and bad movies, and just plain time killer movies. Some great movies have terrible moments. Some movies are so bad they're entertaining in strange ways that couldn't be planned. Then there are movies that get overlooked, and even if they don't achieve greatness, they're still worth watching. What kind of movie is that? It's no classic, but it's not bad. Alan Sharp's name doesn't appear in many histories of the 70s film, but he made quite a contribution. He wrote the screenplays for The Hired Hand, which was a non-traditional Western that reminded me of Unforgiven and demystifying the West. He wrote Alzana's Raid, one of Robert Aldrich's most violent films, a bit ahead of its time in terms of how it regarded the American Indian. He wrote the terrible adaptation of Damnation Alley. They just adapted the book properly. They would have beaten Escape from New York and Mad Max to the screen by years. He wrote Night Moves. Today we're talking about The Last Run, which was one of those Hollywood movies that got mangled in the making, even though it started out with a terrific script and had been offered to some terrific directors. George C. Scott is a retired driver. His background is left unclear, but he did some shady work. He's hired to pick up a man who has been involved in some European political intrigue and deliver him. He's just going to take the money and go. And as in so many of these movies, the man with no heart decides he has a heart. It's a series of betrayals, chase scenes, nice scenery, while Jerry Goldsmith's score plays. It's a very European sounding score too. There are some cues that seem influenced by Ennio Morricone's crime scores. George C. Scott, right off PATTON. And Scott has said that he wanted to make a movie in the Bogart tradition, Man with a Past. You can't trust anyone. Everybody sucks. Even when making just a piece of entertainment, a writer, an actor, somebody can push to try to get some kind of a point of view through. Your enjoyment of The Last Run will depend on your enjoyment of George C. Scott. One of the things about Scott in such movies as The Hospital and Exorcist 3, you wait for the moment of his explosion. You know that he's very tightly wound and that he's going to erupt. George C. Scott's wife plays a whore. You know, all these guys who retire from the criminal business, they live alone, but there's that one woman who they visit a few hours and then they go about their way, and she says, why don't you settle down? If not with me, with some other one. First it was offered to John Borman, who didn't like the script. Then it was offered to John Huston, who began to work on it, but he and George C. Scott didn't get along, and J. Lee Thompson showed up. I keep saying J. Lee Thompson, but now I want to check to see who it was. It's Richard Fleischer. I don't even have to wait for Wikipedia. It's Richard Fleischer. Ended up directing it very straightforwardly. He got the job done. And it's not a great movie, because I don't think Richard Fleischer was in the great movie making business. He was in the get the movie done business. You know, I'm thinking maybe I should change the name of this place to Midnight Theater or After Midnight Theater or something like that, because it seems like so many of these movies my recommendation comes around to, you should watch this late at night. The typical 70s action movie vibe. It's very tightly wound. Who can you trust? Why should you trust? Hollywood's answer at this time seemed to be, if you trust anyone, you're a fool. The Last Run isn't a great movie. It's no classic, but it's not bad. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again soon.